Hi friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. Welcome back to another reading vlog from me. I am so thrilled this fall to be participating in Battle of the Booktubers with Danny Dabbles. I am participating in round 4 and I have 3 other contestants in my category. We had to recommend each other some books. We're going to read those books, tell what we think about them. And Danny, the amazing host of this whole huge competition, is going to be tallying up the points and sharing who is the best recommender of books. So today I'm here to talk about 2 books that were recommended to me by Booktuber C. I don't know which person in my group recommended these books, but I gotta say that this is the set of books I was saving for last, like kind of like a save the best for last. So this is the 3rd set of books that I'm reading. And I owned both of these books already on my shelves, and I am so excited to read them. They both honestly give me such fall vibes that I wanted to wait as far as I could into the fall to read them as well. So we have today the 2 books recommended to me by Booktuber C are Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett and Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I'm so excited. Clearly, we're going into a little fantasy zone. I don't know much about the plot of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, but what I'm hoping for is atmosphere, vibes, cozy fantasy, fairies. Yeah, I'm just hoping for all things atmospheric in this one. I don't really know what to expect with the plot. For Divine Rivals, I do know that there's some letter writing between 2 people. It's going to involve gods. Are the gods the ones writing the letters? Also, hoping for those cozy fantasy vibes. I know for both of these books, I've heard so many people love them. So many people have praised them, and I am ready to hop on the train. I'm really, really late to the party, but this is my chance to read them. Booktuber C, I think you did a good job picking these books because they're both ones I'm very eager to read. We'll see if they turn out to be books for me or not. I am at work this afternoon and it feels really dark in this room, but the lighting isn't that bad, surprisingly, for the camera. I bet it would be better if I turned on that lamp, but I don't want to. So I am going to go ahead and start Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I have zero idea of the plot. I know that this has been so popular. So many people have loved it, but I don't pay attention enough, or they're not sharing what the actual story is about. So although I'm very excited to try it out, I also have no clue what I'm getting myself into. I do read some fantasy. I actually read a decent amount of fantasy, but like Brandon Sanderson and Robin Hobb, and I haven't read a lot of cozy fantasy or lighthearted fantasy in a while. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping that that's what this is. A lighthearted, fun, cozy fantasy. Am I going to be wrong? I don't know. But that's kind of what I'm expecting. I know that this is the start of a series. I know the second one is out and the 3rd one is coming out soon. Or is it out already? Maybe. I don't even want to read the back. I want to go in totally blind. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and read for a little bit. My little buddy that I watch on Mondays and Wednesdays is upstairs napping, hopefully for about at least a half hour longer. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with at least the first little bit. The first line, let's see how it starts. The first line, oh, it's historical. In a fake land. So 1909 in, oh my word, how would I even pronounce those? Hrafnisvik, Leosland. I don't know how to say that. First sentence says, shadow is not at all happy with me. Whose shadow? Is it your actual shadow? Is it a creature? Is it your friend? I don't know. Is it somebody's name? All right, I'm going to dive in. Here we go. Wish me luck. All right, I've only read the first 10 pages, which was chapter 1. The chapters are not numbered, so I'm not going to continue going chapter by chapter, but I did have to pause and get out Google Maps and look for Yosland. I tried to look it up. It's an actual place. The town, I don't think that she's going to is an actual place, but Jostland is a city or an area in Norway. It's not quite where she describes it in this book, which is the tip of it being on or in the Arctic Circle, but regardless, it's way up north and it's part of Norway. Possibly some of the setting is taken from actual Norway. That would be cool. So in this story, we've met our main character. What's her name? Emily. Her name is Emily Wilde, as in the title. She has arrived off of a ship to this remote-ish village. She's the only one that gets off. Everyone else on the ship is going to the only city in Jostland, but she's going to this little village because they have legends or stories of different kinds of fairy people, folk, they call them the folk, and she's there to record and learn about them. She's 30, we know that, and has been a professor already for 8 years. And we see like the ship people help her get her trunk off of the ship, but then nobody in the town helps her as she carries her trunk or drags her trunk up to her little stone cottage where she'll be staying. She seems a little bit naive and younger than 30, but she's traveled all over studying fairies, and you kind of get a taste of the townspeople, like the fact that nobody offered to help her with her trunk, nobody greeted her whatsoever. And then in barges this bear of a man who owns the cottage that she's going to be renting from, and he doesn't seem like a very friendly character. I am not anticipating a romance in this. Maybe there is a little romance. I'm not anticipating that though. I think it's going to really focus, well, I don't know, maybe focus a little bit more on the fairies. Yeah, you just kind of get this idea of it being cold, both in temperature, climate, and in atmosphere. Like all of the people felt very cold. Nobody was very warmly receiving her. She can't get a fire started. She doesn't know how to do it. So he doesn't really, the guy as he bursts in doesn't really offer to help. He just tells her where the wood is and gives her a box of matches. Like, good luck. Nothing has really happened yet. We're just kind of setting the stage. But I did have to pause and check out Google Maps for a minute. So yeah, so far, I mean, nothing's really happened, but I like the writing style. And it's going to take a minute to get fully into it. I do wish that I had an audiobook because of the different names of places and stuff. I have the audio on hold at my library, but it's like a 12-week wait. So the chances of getting it from the library are very slim. I might check other places, but for now, I'm just going to continue to read in print. I am back into Encyclopedia of Fairies. I have made it now 100 pages into the story, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the setting in this kind of remote, wintry, cold, bitter cold Norwegian town. I like the rivalry, kind of friendship, kind of, I'm not sure what, between Emily Wilde and her coworker who shows up. And I like the question of whether or not he is actually a fairy himself. I like that she is actually encountering these different fairies. I like how strong and competent she is, but also it comes across to many others. And she knows this as kind of, what's the right word? Like she's like a pineapple. She's all bristly on the outside, but she's really sweet and tender on the inside. She has offended someone like the main woman in the town without realizing it. She offended her. And now the whole town is kind of hesitant to talk to her when her whole thing is research and hearing all of these stories, and she needs the town people to get on her side. And I think her coworker is he's a little bit more smarmy and like able to schmooze people a little bit better. But because of his friendship with her, even he's getting a cold shoulder a little bit. But she didn't realize that she offended anybody. I like the characters. The two kids that came, the two college students that came with her coworker, the other professor, they're kind of on the periphery. We don't really know anything about them, and that's fine. The landlord of her house is very cold and standoffish as well. Really, Emily Wilde and her co-worker. I keep saying co-worker. And the other professor, I forget his name, but really they're at the center of the story. But I like the little glimpses we've gotten of the fairies. I like the writing style. I'm definitely very invested. It feels sweet so far. It feels fun. It feels like it's going to be something that I love. So we've kind of got glimpses of what the climax is going to be. But regardless, I am very invested in where the story's going. I do feel like I wish it were colder outside when I was reading this, but I am really enjoying it. So I'm going to keep going. My eyes are tired. I'm tired of editing of other things. So I'm going to go in my bed. I did download the audio from Libro FM so that I can listen to this one, but I'm going to go listen a little bit more as I get ready for bed for the evening. But I'm hoping to finish this one either tomorrow or Sunday. So it's really good though. I'm really enjoying it. Hello. I am just sitting down to start working on a puzzle. It's a 500-piece puzzle that I recently purchased, and I love it. It's really pretty, and I am making my way through this book still. This is not where I'm at. I've read quite a bit more. I actually went to the gym this afternoon and just rode on a bike and listened while I was riding. It bothers me that that cupboard is open. Why did I leave that cupboard open? Welcome to my kitchen. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the story of it so far, though. I think the plot of it is kind of slower paced, but I'm still very invested. We're really getting to know Emily and her love for learning about fairies. We're learning some of the stories that she's been told and about the different types of fairies. And there is a bit of drama as she encounters different fairies, and things occasionally get dangerous for her and the people around her. We also have her relationship with the people in the town, and some of those fences are being mended, which is nice. It is just a cozy read. It's not like edge of my seat. I'm not anticipating what's coming up next or anything like that, but I am really enjoying my read of it. I think the writing is the perfect amount of descriptive writing, like letting me feel the setting and the cold, but also not being overly dramatic with the floweriness of it. I think it's just the right kind of writing that I really enjoy. So I'm going to keep going tonight. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the audiobook in a minute to see how much more I have on there, but hopefully I'll hop back on and show you the progress. I'm just starting this puzzle, so I'll show you how far I get tonight. It's only a 500-piece puzzle, so hopefully I make some decent progress. And it is only 8:42, so I should be up for at least an hour or so. And we'll see how far I get. Stay tuned. And I will close that cupboard before next time. All right, I am about to head to bed. Do you see how sweaty I am? I just had to turn my air conditioning back on because it's 80 degrees in my house. And the kitchen is the hottest room of the house. But it's 10:15 now. I'm going to go do my nails and then go to bed. And I am now 200 pages in. I have about 110 pages left to read. I really am still enjoying it so much. There just was a little bit of drama. There are a race of fairies, I don't know what you call them, a type of fairy that keeps stealing people from the town. Usually it's just one person from an area, but for some reason this town has had multiple people get taken by fairies. One of the women who's been helping Emily with like cutting logs and stuff, and they've kind of become friends a little bit. That's a very loose term for what they are, because I don't think Emily really is friends with anybody except Bramblebee, but she has been taken along with her girlfriend. And so Emily is determined to go and find them, not because she cares about what happens to them, but because of her research and the academia of it all. Like, she's so focused on her book and her research that it's really kept her distant from people. But I feel like there's little cracks in that, and there's a little touch of almost romance between Bramblebee and Emily, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it very much. So I'm going to go listen a little bit longer as I get ready for bed and do my nails, and we'll see how far I can get. And look, I think I have 2 hours left of the audio. Oh, and here's the puzzle. I made some pretty good progress tonight. I really like it. I think it's very pretty. Now it's bedtime, though. Good night. Hello, friends. I realize it is now a couple days later, and I never got on to talk about my final thoughts and ratings when I finished Encyclopedia of Fairies, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I really enjoyed this book very much. I know it won't be everybody's cup of tea, but it just feels like it was the right book for me at the right time, maybe? I don't know. The things that I think people won't love about it is it's pretty slow paced. There's not a lot that happens. Once Emily gets to Hvalsbad, Hrafsvnek. Once she gets to where she's going to study this group of fairies, it's pretty slow. There is one scene that gets a little intense. So she discovers this group of fairies that nobody really knows about, and she's thrilled because she gets to write about it in her encyclopedia. But the people of the town keep getting taken. And so there was one scene that was a little bit intense. But for the most part, it's a pretty slow read. But it felt cozy and cold. And you're kind of watching these two coworkers interact and possibly fall in love. Like, there's not much romance. This is not a romance at all. But it's in there. It's in there a little bit. I saw one review that said that Emily Wilde is neurodivergent, and I didn't think about that. She has trouble reading people and fitting in and reading social cues in general. She comes across as pretty brusque. Potentially, I could see her having some neurodivergence, but it's not stated, so I'm just going to take it as what she is, socially awkward and incredibly smart. She remembers like all of these stories that she's learned about the fairies. And the other thing that I think people won't love, potentially, is the writing style, because it is written kind of like in Old English almost. There are parts of it that sound like it was written a long time ago. For me, it all worked. I loved the audiobook. I loved the relationship between Emily and her co-professor. I loved watching that kind of develop, and how she could call him out on his crap, and he could call her out on her crap. And they had like almost antagonistic at the beginning, but then you could see that there was a real respect for each other. And I liked that about them. I don't know if respect is the right word, but they had an affinity for one another for sure. So I think ultimately I am going to land on a 4 for this one. It was very enjoyable, but I think for a book to hit more than that, or to be a 5-star, it needs to be impactful in some way, or like emotional in some way. And it wasn't that for me. It was very enjoyable, but it didn't pull at my heartstrings. It didn't leave a mark emotionally for me. So I'm landing on a 4, and I'm pretty pleased with that. I really enjoyed it. I would definitely consider reading the next one in the series. Yeah, and I'm glad that I read it. It's going to stay on my shelves for now, and my nails kind of matched the cover. All right, and then I just checked today, because today I'm going to start the final book for this vlog, Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I had this on Everand, but Everand is dumb, and it is now in jail until October 10th, and I need to have this read before then, much before then. So we're reading it in print. I'm on hold at the library for Libby for the audiobook. I just don't want to spend money. I don't want to spend a credit through Libro FM or Audible, because I already have it. It's right here. I own it already. I don't need to pay for it twice. So I'm going to read it in print, and it might take me a little bit longer, but I'm hopeful that this is going to be my favorite of all the books that I've read for this vlog. I'm hopeful. Save the best for last? Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. All right, friends. I am 17% into Divine Rivals, and I'm really enjoying it. So I thought I would stop at that 50 page mark, but I went past it. So I really like meeting these two people, Iris and Roman, who both work at the newspaper. They're young, 18 and 19 years old. Right off the bat, we meet Iris and her older brother, who went off to fight this war. We don't really know too much about the land or the war yet. We're starting to get to know that there are these two gods, Dacre, I don't know how to say it, and Enza. They are the ones that are fighting. So we don't know, like, if there's a good guy and a bad guy yet. We just know that the war is in the west. Iris and Roman live in the east. And there's talk of possibly monsters who have come back to the land because these gods at one point had been dead or buried, but now they're back. Why are they back? What's the story? So that's kind of the backdrop. But then we meet Iris and Roman, who both work at the same newspaper, and they're both kind of competing for the columnist spot. Iris is starting to realize or wonder if her boss, Zeb, is not allowed to write about the war and what's really going on. She's starting to do her own research and find out a little bit more about the gods. She ended up having to drop out of school because they don't have a lot of money, and her brother, who was also earning money, is now off to fight the war. Her mom is a bit of an alcoholic. We're just kind of getting the lay of the land, but I really like the rivalry between Roman and Iris, and we know as the reader that they both have a lot of respect for each other's writing, that they both are intrigued by the other person, but they don't know it. They're definitely rivals, and I love it. Divine Rivals. That is the that is the title, and I have a feeling it's going to apply not just to Iris and Roman, but also to the gods, Dacre and Enza. So we'll see how it all plays out, but I'm very intrigued. I like the letter writing. There's a magical wardrobe. Very fun, kind of You've Got Mail-ish type of vibes. I like the rivalry between them. I like Enza's determination. She's really trying to do her best, but also she has so many emotions about her brother going off to war. As far as the writing style goes, I like it. We're very early on in the book yet, but I do think it is very atmospheric. I think Rebecca Ross is doing a great job with atmosphere and showing, not telling. So we know that Iris is pretty poor, but it doesn't ever say Iris doesn't have a lot of money, but it describes her apartment and the candles that are almost burnt out and bottles everywhere from her mom drinking and the radio that's missing because her mom sold it to get more alcohol. Like, we're getting a picture of things rather than just being told Iris is struggling because she doesn't have a lot of money. The first sentence of the prologue was, "Cold fog had settled over the depot like a burial shroud, and Iris Winnow thought the weather couldn't have been better." So it's definitely gloomy and dark, and I'm loving it. I'm definitely really enjoying it. So that's good. I hope that stays the case. I hope to get a lot more read tomorrow. We'll see. Hello. I am making my way through Divine Rivals, and I just got to this paragraph. Holy moly. First of all, if anyone knows me, one of the things that I love in books is when it talks about grief and how it affects us all so differently, and the aftermath of losing a loved one or just disappointment in life or different things like that, and just how that grief works itself out in our lives. Listen to this paragraph about grief. So they're writing letters back and forth to each other, and one of them has a loss in their life, and this is what they say about grief. "Time will slowly heal you as it is doing for me. There are good days and there are difficult days. Your grief will never fully fade. It will always be with you, a shadow you carry in your soul, but it will become fainter as your life becomes brighter. You will learn to live outside of it again, as impossible as that may sound. Others who share your pain will also help you heal because you are not alone, not in your fear or your grief or your hopes or your dreams. You are not alone." I almost started crying the first time I read that. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I love it. So one of them knows that they're writing to the other person, but the other person doesn't know who it is that's writing. And I love that. I love that dynamic. This last section, I haven't learned anything more about the gods and the war. It's just been these two people, Roman and Iris, kind of learning to open up to each other, both through the letters, which one of them doesn't know about. And also in real life, they've had a couple conversations together in real life as well. So I'm definitely still really enjoying it. And I just thought that paragraph was very meaningful and accurate and just beautiful. A beautiful way to address the loss that both of them have recently felt. Yeah, I just really liked that a lot. I really liked it a lot. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. All right, I am officially halfway through Divine Rivals, and I am still really loving this book. I know that it's YA because our main characters are 18 and 19 years old, but it doesn't feel particularly YA to me because we're dealing with this war between the gods, and one of our characters has moved to the closer to where the war is happening to write about it, and it's pretty brutal. Like, they have gone into the hospital where a lot of soldiers are being cared for, and it's pretty brutal. I love the magical element of it. It feels like our world, except in the past, like a historical version of our world, but also with this fantastical element because of these two gods fighting, and the myths and legends surrounding them, and some of the creatures and things like that, and the dangers that are a little bit more fantastical, and because of this magical ability of the two people, our two main characters, being able to write letters back and forth. So I like the magical elements of it, and yeah, I also like that it's feels like our world. We're not in somewhere that's totally different, but we're kind of learning more and more about the two gods who are fighting, learning more about the war itself that's going on, as we're watching this relationship develop between the two who are writing to each other. And they're very different lifestyles. One comes from upper class, wealthy, has expectations on his life, and the other very poor and dealing with responsibilities to survive ultimately. But yeah, I like that it doesn't feel like we're not in high school. We're not dealing with teenage angst at all in here. It's very real. I mean, teenage angst can be very real too, but it just, it doesn't feel heavily YA to me, which I'm thankful for. I also really like Rebecca Ross's writing. That I've marked 2 sections. I think I've read already to you one section talking about grief. I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, so I was going to read another section to you, but I think I'm going to not do that because I keep sneezing. I'm just going to say the last thing that I want to say. I think I've mentioned it a little bit already, but I just feel like Rebecca Ross does such a good job at showing and not telling. Like, her descriptions help us to learn more about the characters or about the world without just info dumping on us at all. I really like that. We have a couple side characters and we don't know much about their backstories, but I think I like what they add to the story so far. Yeah, I'm just really enjoying this. I'm really hopeful that I'm going to finish it today. So hopefully I can kick this little cold or allergies or whatever we're dealing with to the curb, because it's kind of annoying. And I have to read with my eyeballs since I don't have this on audio anywhere. So it makes it a little hard when my eyes are a little bit puffy and watery today, but we're just gonna press forward. We're gonna do it. We're gonna keep going. Yikes. I tried so hard to finish this book today. I'm very close to the end. I just can't. It's 10:30 and I have a few things I need to do before I go to bed. I'm so sad to not be finishing it tonight. I'm so sad. But I am still loving this book. Still loving it. I really am enjoying the relationship between the two main characters. I'm enjoying even the scenes at the war front. I don't typically like that kind of thing, but it wasn't too long and too descriptive, and it was focused mostly on our main characters and not all of the battle war descriptions. Like there was enough to get an idea of where they were and the intensity, and like she's so good at setting the scene. So you could like feel the smoke and smell the earth as they're in the trench. And like, she's so good at using all the senses in her descriptions that makes you feel very immersed in the setting. And I love that. There's a touch of anticipation, even in this last 50 pages. Like you feel like the climax is just about to happen. But then I'm like, but then what are we going to, like, how is she going to wrap this up in 50 pages? I keep wanting to peek ahead. I have a tendency to do that. So it's not abnormal, but I'm trying to not peek ahead. I may have not skimmed, but like just flipped to a couple pages and just read a sentence here or there. Then I'm like, no, stop it, Krista. Made myself go back. But I'm at a point now, I'm just like, I really want to know what's going to happen. But I can't do any more tonight. I can't do any more tonight. So tomorrow, obviously, I'll be finishing tomorrow. I'm understanding why people love this book. I can see it being among my favorites of the year. And easily, unless something drastic happens in the last 50 pages, easily my favorite of this competition. Wow. I'm really liking it. And I'm very excited because I have the sequel on my shelves. And I also have River Enchanted, another Rebecca Ross book I have on my shelves as well. So now I know I like her writing style, which is great, which is really great. All right, I need to get ready, do the things I need to do, and go to bed. But I'm very eager to finish this tomorrow. Yay! All right, I did it. I finished Divine Rivals, and I definitely feel like I saved the best for last. I really loved this book. I need to hide that finger because my nail popped off. I really loved this book. I could tell right from the beginning that I got along so well with the writing style, with the pacing, with the characters. I just really, really liked it. It was cool to see Iris's growth throughout the story. At the beginning, she's the younger sister, just kind of struggling to survive. And by the end, she's brave and confident and still so loyal and loving to the people in her life. There's an element of found family, which I really, really enjoy. The romance was so cool. It was definitely slow burn, rivals to lovers. I appreciated their conversation back and forth. There was a few times I got butterflies in my belly, which I always love. Yeah, Rebecca Ross just definitely pulled out emotions from me. I felt scared. I felt anger. I felt happy. I felt proud. Like, I just really, really enjoyed reading this book, and it is going to get a 5-star for me. I think it's just the best of all the ones that I read at this time, in this moment. This is just the one that I really connected with the most. If I had one criticism, it would be the ending. Not that it was bad at all, just that it ended clearly leading into the sequel. There were a series of events which I cannot share with you because of spoilers, but it definitely leaves me hanging. She gets surprised by people coming back into her life and has to leave others that had been in her life throughout this story. And you just don't know what's going to happen. So have I already started the sequel? Yes, I did. Because guess who got the audio on Libby yesterday or this morning? It finally came through. So I was able to listen to the last little bit while I was at work today holding a newborn baby. So yeah, I absolutely loved this one. 5 stars. And I really, really enjoyed Emily Wilde as well. I think I gave this one 4.25, I think is where I landed. I know that these are super popular reads, and for me, they were both worth the hype. Not perfection, but very close for the vibes that I like in the fall. Cozy, heartwarming, found family, but also a bit of intrigue and adventure and danger. There were some scenes at the war that were pretty intense, and family dynamics and love. I'm very excited that I have the sequel, and I'm glad that it's only a duology, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed both of these. I would love to read the next one of this, and I've already started the next one of this. So if I had to guess which booktuber recommended these books to me, I would say it's Jess from the Hexed Library. I think Jess reads the most fantasy of the three other women in my group. I think she knows enough about fantasy to know that me, as someone who only dabbles in fantasy, that both of these might work for me and have elements about other things that I like found family and the cozy vibes of this one. So I think Jess nailed it. If it's you, Jess, I think you nailed it. Or whoever it was, you got it. You got it. So that is going to wrap up my vlog for this week of Battle of the Booktubers. I would love to hear if you agree with me on either of these books. I know they're super popular and many of you have probably read them. So I would love to chat about these two books down in the comments below, or anything else you want to talk about. Don't forget to go over to Jess and Sam and Jolene's channels to see which books they had to read this week, and if you can guess if they're reading the books I recommended. I will have those linked down below, as well as a playlist from Danny of all of the rounds of Battle of Booktubers, and this round in particular. Will be all the things will be linked down below for you to check out and watch more, because it's just so fun. Again, Danny, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this project. I have had a blast. And that is it. These are the last two that I needed to read. So that's wrapping it up for me. I can't wait to find out the final results and see what happened. There is a date. I'll put the link down below as well. There is a date for a live show with all of us from round 4 and Danny. So we will kind of wrap things up there. I think that will be a really fun time. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me again. And I look forward to chatting with you in another video very soon. Bye.